What's up guys, Mathematics Battles, and today we've got not an update video. I was trying to record an update video, but instead I decided to record a video on why draft format is the best out of any format out there. So we got some bays here for help. So a draft battle is you take X amount of bays. It depends on how many bays you guys are going to do, like make, right? But you take X amount of bays. Normally for us it's 10 or 11, usually 11, but it could be 10. But you could do a smaller amount, like 6 or 7, and just have 3 bays each. And you take them. Here's Zarafis, Edgeshare, and Herusius. You take them apart, completely. Imagine the bays apart, the tips off the spin track, right? You lay them all out, and then you draft the pieces, and you make combos with the pieces. So let's say I'm facing Double Battle Bros, and I have the first pick in the draft. And I say, you know what, Vulcan's really good, but none of these tips, well, I guess Wild kind of aggressive, but it's not attack. I want Flame. I think that's the best piece on the board. I take Flame. So Double Battle Bros says, okay, you've got your Fusion Wheel. So I'm going to take Wide Ball. No, sorry, D, best tip. And I'm going to take C145. I think that's the best track. He thinks that's the best track, hypothetically. I'll be like, okay, let me grab my energy ring then. Because, I've already drafted my Fusion Wheel for my bay. This is just a 3-bay. This is just 3 bays, so this is just gonna be a 1v1 with whatever parts we choose, right? Be like, okay, let me get my energy ring then. And then we'll just choose rest, right? I'll take my tip and spin track. He'll take his Fusion Wheel and energy ring, right? Expand that outwards, right, with more bays. You should go back and forth picking these. Theoretically, you obviously decide how many bays you're gonna make each. So if your opponent drafts 3 Fusion Wheels and you're just gonna do 3 bays, right? Then they can't create a Fusion Wheel, so you don't need to draft them, you can wait till the end. Because if they can't snipe you, there's no point in choosing them early, right? You just keep in mind what you want with seeing what's there. If it's like Storm and Dark, then you keep in mind, okay, I'm gonna be stuck with Storm or Dark, and I'll keep that in mind as I make the rest of my bays. But you save that until the very end. So that's basically how it works. You take turns drafting the pieces, snake style, and then you make combos and you battle with them. The order is you each decide your own orders. Technically, you can also do this with just a person on a call or whatever. As long as one of you has bays, you can do the draft, and then they can, or you or they, whoever has the bays, can do the battles. That's obviously how the draft battles have been on my channel, most of them, as long as they didn't involve Double Battle Bros, which obviously were in person. So, anyway, I think it's the best format because everything about it is strategy. There's literally 0 luck involved in draft battles. You might be like, how's that possible? Well, you're drafting. So you're choosing the pieces, they're choosing the pieces. There's no luck involved. It's all strategy. I think this is the best piece. I think my opponent might want this piece, and I think it's good too. You don't want to just be like, I think my opponent might want this one. Let me pair R squared F with Earth, or something like that. Or let me pair R squared F and there's no real good attack pieces, right? Something like that. If Storm Pegasus is the only attack bay and there's no rock bays on the board, it's like Earth and Flame and Evil and Burn and Dark, Poison. Do you really want to draft R squared F? Probably not. Or RF, probably not. But all that is strategy. Making your bays, choosing the pieces, all that is strategy. You could be making bays as you go. You could just have an idea of, I want to pair this with one of these with one of these, like all your stamina pieces, make the best combination between them. Then choosing your bay, the order they would go in, because it's, like a set, right? You each have 5 bays and you do 5 battles with one of each of those bays, right? Or 3, and you go through and you try to think, I think my opponent's going to put these bays here, and that's how you do it. Or you just think, I want to put these bays here because these are my best, or I think this is the most important position to have. Maybe you don't want to put your best bay in the back because you think, you don't want to lose 3-1 and then the last battle's pointless, right? But maybe you think it's going to be a 2-2 and you want your best in the back. Maybe you want to lead off with that bay. Maybe you want to put it in 3rd or 4th position. If you don't get swept, then the 4th bay, as long as you don't get swept, the 4th bay is going to go. Maybe you want that to be a win. So, if you're down 2-1, you go into a final match no matter what. There's all strategy there. especially if your opponent is like an attack bay or something. Well, you might not want their attack bay to face your WD bay, but you might want to face their defense bay if you can pick what you think they're going to put. And then you get into battles, and there's no luck in battles. It's all strategy and blade of spirit once you get there. So there's literally no luck involved. And yeah, so that's why draft battle's great. I discussed drafting strategy. If your opponent has picked all of their fusion wheels, you don't need to pick that. And by the end of the draft, it should be there should be multiple of everything left, but you guys shouldn't need any of the same parts because, you picked all your fusion wheels, so they stopped picking fusion wheels. They picked all the tips, so they stopped picking tips. So then you picked all your spin tracks, so you stopped picking. They stopped picking spin tracks. They picked all their energy rings, so you stopped picking energy rings. Like that kind of thing, right? Did I say that right? You picked all your fusion wheels, so they stopped drafting fusion wheels. They picked all their tips, so you stopped drafting tips. You picked all your tracks, so they stopped drafting all the tracks. They drafted all their energy rings, and at that point, now all that's left on the board is I need my, whatever it is, however that lines up. That I said I need my tips and energy rings, and they need their spin tracks and fusion wheels, right, or something like that. So you guys won't be picking the same pieces anymore. So you can just kind of pick with what's left. Don't have to worry about anything else. And that's how you should properly do it. Because if you're choosing a fusion wheel, if there's 2 fusion wheels left, they've got all of theirs, and you do like 11 or 7, an odd number. So there's an extra piece. Just kind of. Again, a safeguard in case like Torch is one of the bays chosen, like as the base bays. Something that's like really bad, right? You don't need to pick Storm or Dark just to have it. They can't pick it anymore, so you can just keep in mind which ones you want, or let the draft play out and then be like, I was gonna do Dark, but I think I can make a attack bay with Storm whole flat or something like that. Better than whatever I do Dark with. And then you choose that, and then you choose Storm instead. Which again, you're pigeonholed if you chose Dark right away, So, and then that brings me to, would it not be awesome to do a giant draft battle tournament? Like, put a bunch of bays out and have a bunch of people come in and draft those bays, right? And draft the pieces. There would be some logistical, besides having people like having the ability to like choose in a well amount of time, right? Think of like the drafts for the GBA or something like that. Why the GBA? The GBA was so bad. Classic GBA fan, but the GBA had like, that is, by the way, Draft Battle League for Pokemon, had like serious problems behind the scenes of it. What's the current one? The Shuckle Premier League, is that it? Is it SPL? Yeah, SPL that Pokegame's doing. You have to get everybody in a position where they can draft, like not too busy, that they can at least, get on their phone and draft or whatever they need to. But even like the bays themselves, because you wouldn't want like, oh crap, somebody's stuck with Torch, at the end, right? Now, if again all the fusion wheels are chosen, that one person does another fusion wheel can move on and get a little bit of a head start. But people will probably have different priorities. Some people might go for fusion wheels, some people might go for tips, some people might say, I don't think any of these are great, let me go for a low spin track, and it would snake back and forth like before. I think I mentioned that. It snakes at the beginning. So, but I think that would be like sick. That would be the coolest thing. Obviously the question would be, would it be balanced when you have that many people, that many parts? It might depend on what bays are chosen, how random that is. But if you choose, like, so let's say there's not many good fusion wheels or tips, then whoever is coming back around, like say you pick Earth first, you think that's the best part. You come back around, obviously, you don't have fusion wheels anymore, but maybe a lot of the tips are off the board now, or half of them. Maybe you don't have as good of a tip selection. It'd be questionable. That would be a thought exercise to do with somebody. Have a bit like, take like 17 bays and draft them separately as if you were a different person, every pick, and then going back around. I'm gonna have to theorize that. That could be really fun, actually. I would have to have like Discord or something again though to do it. That's back to the update video, probably. Maybe here. But you would, how balanced would that be with bays? Would whoever gets like a really good fusion wheel, like an early pick, Earth or Rubber Flat or something like that. Not Rubber Flat. That would be questionable. That could be good. It depends on what's on the board. But if you pick one of those early, and what if like you picked RF early and then back the nothing attack is left for fusion wheels from there, right? Or what if you get like a really bad track, like you're stuck with 145? Well, no. That'd be the other thing, is because bays need an inner ring, right? So whoever is at the front, you would think would have a big advantage if it's just one person. If it's like a bunch of different bladers, not just one person and not two people making a bunch of bays, but like one person, right? For each pick, right? Because if you picked Earth really early and then you came back around and maybe the tips weren't as good, but you get your tip and your spin track because it's snakes, right? And then all you have left is an inner ring, but what's the big deal? Like if you're stuck with Jimios, how much of a difference is that really going to make? Well, the other person on the other end of the snake would have, because space bullets are going to be connected. So goes this way, goes this way, goes this way, goes this way. So that person would have two snakes. So they wouldn't get their first pick, but they get two picks. And then they wouldn't get the last pick, but they would get two picks again. But if energy rings are clearly the least valuable, assuming that it's not similar tips or spinner fusion wheels or similar tracks where somebody's like, I don't care which one of these I get, you know, and they pick early, you would think the person in the back would be at a bit of a disadvantage, because picking, let's just shrug this up for number's sake. Let's say it's 8 people, right? We got a tournament. If you have pick number 1 and then you've got like pick 16 and 17, right? Is that better than having pick, or you have 1, 16, 17, and then like 24, right? Or something like that, 25. Pick at the end, right? So what do you think about 7, 8? Yeah, 16, 17, and then it goes back around. So yeah, it wouldn't be that, it'd be pick 32 or whatever, right? If you had 1, 16, 17, and like 32, you know, is that a big advantage having 1, 16, and 17 versus having 8, 9, and then having 24, 25, you know? Because again, energy rings are clearly like the least important. So that could tilt it in the person at the front's favor, because the second snake would be a bit rough. But at the same time, the other person at the other end, the last pick, would be able to, you know, chain. Maybe not the best, but a pretty good fusion one, a pretty good tip or something like that. I'm assuming this would go earliest. You know, some combinations. So it'd be a good thought exercise, but there would be balancing that has to go into that to make sure that nobody's like totally screwed over, or to make sure that a drafting order was like fair, you know, decently fair. Because this wouldn't be luck of the draw. This wouldn't be luck. This would be random order, not luck of the draw, or I got here late for the CBT and parts aren't there. So you'd have to make sure that each draft position is pretty balanced, but also the bays themselves are decently balanced. You know, if somebody got 230 and picked that right away, like if someone picked 230 to the start and then it went all the way in and back, would 230 on whatever fusion wheels are left, let's say it's evil and a ball tip or something, right, is there, would that bay be automatically better than most things anybody else chose, right? Because if you can't get to 230's height, only a few things get to 230's height, you know, this would be a viable ban candidate, right, for example. And not have that bay, or have Flame Bixus be replaced with like a regular spin track size or something, you know, some random track. Or maybe probably want to do Flame Bixus. We want to give all the energy rings and everything, you know, possibilities. So maybe that part is banned, and you have to just, maybe it's Flame Bixus 145 WDs in the draft, you know, something like that. But would like 230 be too busted if that was the case? It's an interesting, you know, thought. So you'd have to like balance that. But I think that'd be the coolest thing. I would absolutely be hyped up for that. I'd be beyond the moon if I could set up a draft CBT. That'd be the coolest thing ever, but there'd have to be a lot that goes into it. That would be what gets Discord back. That would bring back the Discord. But you again have to have people that can do it and would like be somewhat available, so the draft wouldn't take too long. Because that's the thing with time zones and everything. If somebody's asleep and everybody's waiting, would have to be like when it's their pick, especially if they're not a stake, right, where they pick twice. You know, imagine the thing having to stop every day. You only get like through once or half a round and then a full round because somebody from another country is just asleep, right, just different times. That'd be the other concern. But there's some ways around that, because if it's people that aren't too far on the other side of the earth, like Vietnam, because there's a lot of people in Vietnam. Or Japan, right? That would be a bit trickier, right? Having to do it at a decent time. And again, everybody would need to be available enough that they can at least check their phone and do the drafts, like in a a reasonable amount. That's the other trick. So there's like some serious logistical things that go into it, but I think that'd be the coolest thing now, honestly. But anyway, that is why you should do draft battle. And yeah, that's all I got. That's why you should do draft battle. It's super competitive, strategic. You have to have a good knowledge of all the lower end parts. But yeah, all you need is 2 people, and one of you needs to have base, and then you can do it. And whoever has the base can do the battles, right? Just like on the channel, if you go watch the draft battles. So maybe I'll put that playlist in the end card or something if you want to go watch them. But it is great. It's a great format when everybody does it properly. Problem is, some people don't do it properly. They'll choose a fusion wheel when a fusion wheel's off the board, and it's just a waste of a pick because your opponent can't choose a fusion wheel. Your opponent has 5 fusion wheels. Why are you choosing your fusion wheel? You know, just keep it in mind and pick it later at the end. But yeah, that's the one thing that frustrated me. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.